story, life story
Exactly. Yeah.
of our people in this modern day. You know what
Of
I
course.
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I was about to make a really foul joke, but I'm live right now.
oh, you live? All right. I mean, hey,
Oh,
foul jokes.
I'm always live.
There's nothing wrong with foul jokes. But I'll go ahead and get this thing rolling. Wait. Go ahead and get this thing rolling.
I am a patient boy. I wait, and I wait.
Let's
I'll
see
never
what we
forget the
have. Yes, indeed, we are here. Polka Dot Rabbit Podcast.
howdy.
Um, as always, your brozo here. Okay, and as you know, always, and I always have to, start this off with a Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. We're here to uplift humanity, also help and assist in waking the melanated woolly head beings that have been asleep for quite some time.
Oh,
But
I'm
this
bald.
is the melanated, yes, or and bald, as well, and all from woolly hair down to scruffy patches. You know what I mean? So and bald in
Wait.
that. But this is the melanated music episode. So, you
Nice.
know, we love to I love the one of the reasons I even do this is just because I always love to speak to individuals, quote unquote black rockers, you want to call them Afro punks, whatever you want to call it. I love to hear the people that have been in the trenches that know a lot about you know, music, black music, and etc. Love. That's why one reason why I have this because there's a lot of people that don't know, and if you don't talk about it, nobody's gonna know about it. So, if you haven't already, please go to polka.rabbitpodcast.com and pick up my book, Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. I talk about many topics in here and the diversity of just being an individual that's looks at life in a very free perspective. All right, that's it for me. I have a old head here. I met him years ago in the
Hey.
Moulin days. In the Moulin days, like he actually told me earlier. It was like what 2009 when
Yes.
we linked up. Um, Initially, I'm sure I can't remember if it was we linked up on MySpace or Facebook. Like how we
No,
first
this
met.
is before that. Literally, we met literally at the Afropunk gathering.
Oh, you
Actually,
know what? You're right.
we
Now,
literally. It was also the dude from Verge of Umbra was there as well,
okay.
and
You know
like
what? I do remember. I do remember.
we really linked. We really chatted during Holy Bread setup. And it was a
I remember.
yeah. I remember
I
that
do
very
remember.
well. It's like
I do. And he said to me, I had my Michael Vick jersey on. I was like,
yeah.
damn, where is that Michael Vick jersey? I still wish I had it. But anywho, I'll go ahead, John. The good John Ellison here. Go ahead and tell him who you are, what you do, and et cetera, et cetera. And we'll, get the ball rolling on.
Well, my name's John M Ellison the fourth. From out parts of Maryland because nobody's heard of Temple fucking Hills. It's near Washington D.C. Actually, but also kind of in a weird space between Washington D.C. and Baltimore, right? I started a band called Jenny Hates Techno. Before that, I had a project called Sketch Malkus, and now I'm, of course, working with Jenny Hates Techno, but also doing some session stuff on the side. You got to diversify your bonds, motherfucker. That's basically what you're doing, and and also expanding my musical palette and whatnot. Work with different projects, and just some see it as a challenge. I see it as an opportunity.
Okay. All right. So, um, one of the things I like to grew up in Maryland. See, I actually grew up in BG County. Um,
Really?
yep,
Which
Cheverly,
part?
Maryland. Cheverly, Maryland, born and raised.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. Well, until I was like 10. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm a Marylander as well. Um, so tell me about like just that part of Maryland that you grew up in. Like, how was that? Because I remember Maryland. Me growing up was a
Temple
very
Hills.
diverse place.
They say
Very
it every time.
huh?
They always say that, right? It's kind of funny when people were not used to diversity. They always say, "Wow, it's always 3 beat pause, diverse." They always say the same. It's always the same. Never four
Mm-hmm.
beat pause. It's always 3 beat
Mm-hmm.
pause, right? And I always say, "You never seen as many in your life, huh?" That's it usually the wide eye thing because it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm from Temple Hills, Maryland, the border of Southeast DC. It was an interesting area. It was kind of transient because I'll put it this way: when I was like around 10 or 11, it got a little rougher. Like you knew spring started when you hear 4 gunshots. Like, oh, spring started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kind of area and everything, right?
Mhm.
So like kind of bounce back and forth to Bowie, Maryland, some
Mhm.
Mitchellville too, but also like but Temple Hills was home base till I was like 21 actually,
Mhm.
you know, like yeah, so it's like I take people down there, it's like this is the hood. I was like, yeah, I know, right? So I actually got shot in front of my house one time too, so it's kind of yeah,
Oh, okay. All right. All
trying to
right.
get
All
the
right.
yeah.
So so it was diverse or it wasn't diverse? Because
Oh, it
like
was
I
very
said, in PG County where I was, it
it
was.
was very diverse. Trust me, oh, very
Yeah.
diverse actually.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It didn't look like heavy metal parking lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
No, it looked more like a Chuck Brown concert.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
See, if you went to DMV, you get that reference.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I'm about to say, if you don't know that, if you're not from the area, then you might not really know who Chuck Brown is. But that's okay. It's for us DMVers. You know what I'm saying? But all right. So speaking of Chuck Brown and music, how in the world did a man from hearing four gunshots in the spring? How did he get introduced to rock music? Please,
Easy.
very interesting.
Parents with great fucking taste in music. I gotta tell you, like literally
Hmm.
everything was played here. Like literally from James Brown to Alice Cooper to David
Hmm.
Bowie. He was listening
Hmm.
to everything.
Yeah.
My mom loved Kiss, but also loved Gil Scott Heron. Loved the Beatles too. Loved Michael Jackson. My
Hmm.
dad, Sly Stone, Funkadelic Freak, but also loved Iggy and the Stooges.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you hear some really interesting sounds come up. So
Hmm.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was easier for you because like I know
What?
my thing was like MTV. My
Well, that
parents
too.
were all older school. You know what I'm saying? They like my mom. She like used to like listen to Air Supply. You know what I mean? Like some of the soft rock stuff, rock stuff. But when it came down to the music, it was all old school. But
Yeah.
MTV when that came in because of hip hop and everything else came along with it, that was my thing. That was just like wasn't I could not just be fixed on one type of music. It was everything. You
Same
know what
here.
I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. So all right. So early influences got you playing. When did you decide you want to play an instrument?
I was
Besides running a football or shooting a basketball or whatever the case may be. When were you like, nah, I think this
Zoser. Seriously, look
uh
at me. I look like a black art crumb. All right. All right. Seriously. I look like a black fucking art crumb, actually. You honestly think basically I have an athletic bone in my body? That's my cousin's deal. He almost made the Olympics. It's like, I was the art guy.
uh okay.
So that being said, it's like I tried running track actually. I almost had a fucking heart attack on the field. Dude, I am not athletic. All right. I can find a motherfucker, but I'm not athletic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it's like so I was the art guy and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like so it's funny you mentioned MTV because that was around there too. Beavis and Butthead helped out immensely. Damn, what was the question again?
No, just how do you start playing
Oh
guitar?
yeah, now I remember. It's actually kind of funny. Like I started the first time I saw like a guitar actually, right? It was actually like the guitar players always look cool and everything. It's like the first musical lesson was, hey, my mom tried to say, hey, let's try to put them on piano, right? I
Mm-hmm.
did not. It just didn't connect or click. I was like 3 or 4 and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Burning World, I was not. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like around 6 or 7. I remember seeing like the Jackson 5 an American Story movie, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot who it was, either Jermaine or one of the actors playing him. He had a guitar. He looked cool as shit, actually, right? And
Mm-hmm.
before that, I saw some guy playing guitar with a bow, and I'm like, that looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, that was Jimmy Page. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm more of a Sabbath guy actually, but like there's like 4 or 5 songs by Zeppelin I appreciate. I put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what happened. And then I got a guitar like around actually I got an acoustic guitar around 12 actually, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, apparently don't put an acoustic guitar next to a vent because that thing will just turn into a washboard bass. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
thing I learned. The second thing I learned is this too. Oh shit, I forgot to charge my phone up actually. The second thing I learned is this too is like honestly like this is when I got the electric one. I'm like, okay, now we're talking right now, right? And the first riff I
Mm-hmm.
tried to play was Dracula by Rob Zombie because I was a fucking
Mm-hmm.
white zombie nut growing up because he
Mm-hmm.
was a cartoonist and he even did like the animation reviews and Brought It to America with Chris Parnowski. And I'm like, this guy is an amazing cartoonist and stuff. I'm digging it, right? So those are like how I got my forays into rock music.
Yeah. Jared's talking. He said, "Oh hell no, you let
That's
you
my
let
homie.
Sketch in." Yeah. I just man, I can't wait to have that Joker back on, man. I had a blast talking to him. Man, Jared, we're gonna have to come together on a topic and let you get real deep because I
Hey,
already
Jared.
see you got that mind. But all right, so you got that guitar
Yep. Hey,
playing
trust me
White
from a live
Zombie.
mic.
All right. So what about like what were your influences grow up musically?
Um, Everything. Seriously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a friggin' sponge, dude. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything I listen to somehow influenced and inspired me in ways I didn't even realize it did. Like but the ones that may want to pick up a guitar, actually, right? Of course, Hendrix is in there too. Eddie Hayes is in there too. But the one that
Mm-hmm.
really made me want to get a guitar, fucking Zappa. And also
Zappa.
Eddie Van Halen. So I'm like, those are the two guys I'm like, maybe want to give it a shot and everything, right?
Yeah.
Like
You
uh,
what's it? Jared said move the phone to the side so you can see your face. Okay, that's a little bit better.
all right.
He wants to see your face.
I try. I would try to be anonymous for years. Actually, like I try to be like the Banksy
Put a
of
mask on.
believe it or not, I used to wear a bandana during rehearsal sometimes. Actually, but it's
Yeah.
like a shout out to the mentors. Actually, they actually wanted me to play for them one time. I shit you
Mm-hmm.
not. It was
Hmm.
like maybe not, but it didn't pan out for reasons. But I was flattered though. Like the guitar player, the OG guitar for the mentors. I'm like, oh come on.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
So you said Zappa, and when I was talking to Jared last night, or night before last, I was telling him my Zappa story, and it was interesting because I'll tell it again.
go for it.
When I was working, I was in school when I was working. I think I was delivering pizzas or something, and one of the delivery drivers said he knew I was a musician. He's like, "You're a musician?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Take this album and give it to me when you come back." And it was Shake Your Booty, you know. And
Yes.
after I heard that album, my eyes, I know, are probably this big, And at the end of the day, I handed it to him. Said, "What the hell did you just hand me?" You know. And I never, I was just hooked after that. You know what I'm
Every
saying?
time.
And even when you talk about Eddie Van Halen, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people like they just think of Van Halen. They don't realize that Van Halen's some dope song, but they don't realize that Eddie Van Halen's he's the one that's doing the lead guitars on Beat It. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't, you
That
know,
was his. That was his
you know what I'm
warm up
saying?
routine.
Yeah. I saw a story about that when he was talking about it because he was like, they really weren't supposed to do anything outside of that, but he was just like, well, nobody's gonna know he did it, and it's Michael Jackson, so I guess
Yeah.
somebody found out. But so those of you, yeah, tell me about the Zappa, man, because I know you, it's interesting because I think you're the first person on here since I've done this that really well, actually, probably like Zappa more than I do, but really,
All right.
really, this, tell me about this Zappa, your whole Zappa experience. I gotta hear that.
All right. What got me into Zappa too was literally my dad was blasting the Apostrophe album around, and I'm
Oh,
like,
Camarillo Brillo.
yep. And I was like, first I asked him, okay, what drugs is this guy on? He's like, no, he's stone cold sober. I'm like, you're
Sober, yeah,
fucking kidding me, right? So it
yeah.
was the first surprising was he never did a drug in his life actually. Even though there's
Hmm.
one story that the closest he ever got to was that it was he had to get a tooth pulled, something like that, right? And
Yeah.
like
Did you read that in the book?
yeah, I think I read that
Yeah,
in
I
the
read that
book.
in
And
the book.
like
Yeah, I did too.
I used to read the real Frank Zappa book basically during my like late teens and early 20s. That was my shit actually.
Yeah,
He kind of foresaw Napster. He kind of foresaw
yeah.
iTunes.
Oh
But
yeah. No, there's a whole bunch of stuff he like pretty much prophesized, man. Real
yeah,
talk.
yeah. So I was just amazed by this album and everything. And like so I listened to I was like, all right, let me borrow this for a second. Well, borrow's like yoink, So I'm listening to this whole thing. It is a whole piece like music. It's pretty much like it didn't dawn on me till years later that Frank was really in orchestral stuff. So the influence in
Yeah,
there. So it was
yeah,
like these weren't songs, they were fucking movements.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And like and it was kind of funny before really starting, my band and everything. It was almost like a warning or prophecy. On the back is a produce, arrange, and struggle with by Frank Zappa. I was like, oh, what does that mean?
Mhm.
I understand what it means now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
like yeah.
I learned one thing I have to say that amongst the many things I respect about Frank Zappa, because reading this book, and I talk about this a lot too, just because how much he knew the music business and how much at an early age he like figured it out. He's like, oh yeah, this some bullshit. I can do this myself, you know.
Yeah,
And then literally, like him and his wife did everything. Think about that. Think about that, y'all. Like this wasn't now. You know, this is we're talking about tour dates. You talk about um, um, producing the studio, everything him and his wife did. She like he said in the book that he worked what they did shifts like he did it at night and she did it during the day type deal, but they did
yeah,
everything himself. So he kept everything, toward funded everything. You know the same thing that later on you hear sleeping like like Michael Jackson, like he understood the business.
yeah,
Prince, they understood the business.
yeah.
Um, so much respect for that that aspect, and that motivated me to learn as much as I can too.
Oh yeah.
But go ahead, yeah, keep on.
Barking Pumpkin Records. The label was
Hmm.
called that because his wife was a smoker,
Hmm.
and he jokingly said his wife sounded like a barking pumpkin, pretty much.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and because he realized since Warner Brothers basically drained him dry, to realize okay,
Yeah.
so I can make more money on the road and everything. So
Hmm.
he's literally doing like the whole DIY thing. It was
Yeah.
like literally a mail order thing, right? In
Yeah.
fact, it was so popular with certain people that like, hey, so and so's calling up again for the next album. So yeah, and
Hmm.
it was funny because I noticed something really weird. It's like, you ever notice? I noticed a lot of artists did not have a good Warner Bros. Story, whether it be Prince, Frank Zappa, or just like a lot of guys were at the same time. There was like a bad Warner Bros. Story.
I
Go figure.
mean, labels. I mean, how many times you gonna hear somebody, especially back then, just harping, you know what I'm saying, about how great their label is, you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
like I can only imagine now when everybody and their mama, I read this article some years ago. 311, they finished their last album, right? And when they finished their last album, um, they were looking for a label. You know that when they went out looking for a label, he said, every single label tried to get them 311, in which they were making $1 million each, a 360 deal.
Ugh. Yeah.
The audacity. You know what I'm saying? Just like really,
That's fucked.
we've been doing this for so and so. We're making $1 million and you're trying to get us to do 360 deal.
How,
So they ended up
how dare?
signing on at that time. They ended up signing with Dave Matthews label. You know what I'm saying? Which more is like a probably I think it was more of a distribution deal. That type of deal. But they
Yeah.
weren't doing that. You don't need to do that no more. You know what
You
I'm
really
saying?
don't. Just click upload.
Yeah. Exactly. Main thing now is just getting in the road in front of people and getting paid
Yeah,
that way.
that's the fun part. That's
Yeah.
where I kind of see the benefits of streaming because
Mm-hmm.
it makes a lot more sense nowadays. Because
Mm-hmm.
like even like because again people come out and stuff like that. Make sure the
Mm-hmm.
crowd is right, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, hey, I can't do it. I gotta fold the dishes. My horse is sick. Shout out to Terry Funk, wink. Just whatever different excuse or reason why people can't make a show and everything. Yeah, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's just one of those kind of deals where it just makes more sense to do like a live stream thing. Just build that up and basically go when needed though. Like, 'cause at this point
Mm-hmm.
right now, I'm trying to do more festival stuff in 2024, like the little small stuff's fun to work stuff out and everything, but it gets kind of tired of looking at a freaking drum kit basically. It's like
You know, I was watching that I was watching that Whitney Houston the Whitney Houston movie that just came out recently, and it was so interesting just hearing the way that they thought that it was just like whenever they thought about money, they were just like, I got to go on a tour. I got to go on a world tour. I want to make so
yeah,
and so money. I just want to go on a world tour. You know what I mean? And it's just because that's how even watching. You remember the Temptations movie?
oh yeah,
The one, yeah, yeah. You remember they were like, yo, Buddy was like, yeah, we got to hit the road, and make this money. People don't realize that these artists, the producers on the back end, are
yeah,
making the money producing it. Yeah, they
yeah,
getting
yeah,
quarterly checks. But when it came down to that food, you needed to be on the road making that money.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Those
You know what I'm saying?
Eric White Frank was on the road all the time. That's the
Yeah,
reason why.
exactly.
That's how he made his money
Yeah,
back.
exactly,
You know?
man. But yeah, yeah. So Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, and Zappa, those those are And I have to say this because we haven't talked about this, the punk rock aspect. We talked about your influences, etc. How did you get into punk rock?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. Like, it was always kind of around me anyway. Like, seriously, remember that
Hmm.
cartoon Teen Wolf?
Yeah.
Remember that one episode where the guy with like the mohawk was actually breakdancing or some shit like that?
I don't know if you remember that, but go
It's
ahead.
it's around there somewhere, right? That was like one of the first seeds and everything, right? And punk was always around the house anyway. You know, I mean, hell, it's like it's like even hearing rumors and legends of this guy named Iggy Pop. Actually, was like 5 or 6 hearing about this guy. You know, shoot, I remember seeing like the Ramones. Actually, it didn't connect or click what they were doing actually, right? Until I got it though later on. Shoot, even going back to like it's like I put it as well. Definitely was born too late for punk. And here's the weird thing about being born in the '80s, right?
Hmm.
You basically are too late for all the cool shit to happen. And all the bands want to check out, they either just blew their brains out or OD'd. So like, hey, the
Hmm.
Nirvana band's like, oh damn, that
Yeah.
fucking sucks. I was like, hey, that's oh no. I was
Yeah.
like,
Another one bites the dust.
exactly. It's like what he got shot? Oh no. So all the cool stuff. So then around 2000, you get okay, cool, get to go to my first show. What the fuck? Oh, come on. It's like going to a house party and the house is trash. There's red cups all over the place. It says, "Sorry, dude, just missed it." You
Mm.
know, here's
Yeah.
Nickelback, or like here's this really weird pastiche of country, and not even
Yeah.
the good
Yeah.
stuff. It's like yeah. So that's what's kind of like pretty much. But it's like so like what happened was another thing too is like I watched American Pop because I already knew about the Sex Pistols, right? I mean, hearing about them, right?
Yeah.
But then I
Yeah.
heard a
Yeah.
song like "Out to Lunch" by Sex Pistols on the American Pop soundtrack. I'm like, yo, that sounds fucking cool, you
Hmm.
know, because it sounded like the alternative rock stuff I saw like on the Saturday morning cartoon thing. Remember like
Hmm.
the Saturday morning cartoon theme thing back like in the early '90s?
Hmm.
That was like one of the introductions too. Like that's the first time I heard like Helmet basically do like Gigantor theme,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was the first time I was like, I didn't know what a fucking breakdown was. But I'm like, yo,
Mm.
that's kind of cool, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get kind of discover that stuff like that. That's the first time I heard the Ramones doing the Spider-Man theme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, so I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool, actually, right? And like, so we just kind of like it was around there, you know. So like,
Yeah.
so there you go. That's how I kind of
Yeah.
got into it as well.
Um, and I write in my book, the Ramones actually are the ones that got me. Somebody just handed me. I was at the beach sometime, and they just had the greatest hits, and I'm just listening to the music, and I'm just like, because I always listen to rock and stuff, and all that, but like it was something about just that sound that the Ramones had. I was just like, why is it so? In the way that they had them like 1950s melodies and with their vocals and
Yeah.
stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, like doo-wop, like yeah, that got me. Like that's what pulled me in initially. You know what I'm saying? So
To
shout out to
me,
the Ramones.
the Ramones sounded like the Beach Boys on crack.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, in a
yeah,
weird
yeah.
way. It
Yeah. No,
sounded
no,
like
you're
the
right.
Beach
You're right.
Boys on meth,
I never
actually,
thought
right?
about that. The Beach
And
Boys. No, no, you're right.
even they'll say that, you know, like well,
Hmm.
even they would have admitted that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. They're probably influenced just from. They had to be
Oh,
from the just
absolutely.
yeah the the,
All those
the
guys, you know.
vocals and all. Yeah.
That blasted. Wait, hold on a second. My cell phone's about to drop out of power, but so give me 1 second
Oh,
here.
yeah, go ahead. Do your thing.
All right.
Do your thing.
Very much.
We don't want you to cut off live. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Grew up. Let's see. Oh, okay. That was what they were. Yeah, they grew up. Yeah, that makes sense. Jared was saying that. Jared, that does make sense because they would have been influenced by that. They were just. I guess my question is like not even question, but they kept the melodies like vocal melodies, but what would make them actually have the actual punk sound itself? What would what would have been that would have been that influence? You know what I'm saying? That makes perfect sense. 50s and 60s, Beach Boys, pop stuff. But man, them riffs were just them riffs. I mean, they were poppy riffs, but you know they weren't. Yeah, they weren't. Oh, hold on a second. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. But yeah, but yeah. Anyway, that was one of my influences. I think that greatest hits thing got me. I was just like, give me more, and then later on, found the. See, this is a true technician at work right now. How many of us have done the old charger behind the couch thing? Uh,
Yeah, skip it. It's gonna be what's gonna
mm,
be.
yeah, you got it. You got it hooked up.
Yeah, it's gonna be what's gonna be. Actually, it doesn't stretch as long as I thought it did.
Oh no, you're good. It's all good.
There's a joke in there, but it'll be nice.
Let me see what you
Ah,
talking about.
never mind. Anyway, so as we are saying though, that's a really interesting question. How I get into punk
Yeah.
rock actually. So then over time, I find like about stuff like Blink 182. Hey, it was a different era then. Offspring as well. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this sounds pretty cool actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember hearing like I'm gonna blast some Blink 182 song or some Offspring song. And my dad's like, "What the hell is that?" I was like, "It's punk
Mm-hmm.
rock." That ain't punk rock. This is punk rock. Who puts the English
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
our power? And I'm like okay, I get it now.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that was like the best one right
You
there. Like,
you'd be surprised, like especially if you're were introduced to old and hear some of the newer stuff. Like I actually didn't mind Blink 182. Like so a lot of stuff, their older stuff. I mean, just that like I still say all the time. Green Day probably, if you ask me, is one of the best pop punk bands out there. That's
my
just my
mom is
personal
Green Day.
opinion. Yeah. Um, some of the early stuff, off the album Green Day itself, and but even now, what I'm saying, they did a lot of hard work, and they deserve to be where they're at. But it's just a big difference when hearing the Ramones, you know what I'm saying, hearing Bad Brains, you know what I'm saying, hearing the Dead Kennedys,
Absolutely.
or something like a newer, like you said, the Offspring. It's like it's all the same, but it's different. You know what I mean? But I think
Newer
that's a
bands.
I think that's a great thing, though. I think it's a great thing.
I look at it this way: bands like Blink 182,
I
Offspring,
think
they're
your what's the
permanent.
name? Your what's the name just cut? Did your phone cut off?
Unfortunately, it did. You
Okay.
know,
Are you? Is it going to charge or we just redone?
oh, well, I charge after all. Actually, we'll be here longer than I realize. Actually, so it's like it's going to charge for a moment. You know
Okay. Well, that's cool. I'll just once it's on, just let me know. I'll bring you back on that
that
other
I,
one.
that I will. I'll do that.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. But yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I always thought that was very interesting or hearing um yeah, he's coming back on in a minute. I'm just gonna keep it rolling on it. And actually, you know what? Let me put the he said charge it up. Let me put the hold on, let me put the whoever's looking at IG, I'll get you the link to that. I'll put it in the chat so you can just watch it on YouTube until he gets up and running. So just bear with me.
Good idea.
Let's see. He said, "Charge it up." I know that's right.
X.
All right. So, yeah, for you and I in the IG world, you can go ahead and click on the YouTube link there, and it'll get you where you got to go.
Yeah.
So we'll be over there talking,
Yeah.
chatting it up. So,
Exactly.
um, let me get that out of there. So yeah, just let me know, John, when your phone is back, and I'll just send you the
I'll
link
try to
again so we can go.
I'll try to get it
Um,
back to like at least 25% and everything.
mhm.
I got, but yeah, yeah. But
Is it on now?
uh, no, not right now.
Okay,
It's
don't worry about it.
returning
That's
now.
cool. That's cool. All good. So yeah, so all right, so what were some of your favorite punk bands then?
Okay, primer punk bands, outro punk bands.
Hmm?
Okay, so when you discover the real punk stuff, actually, right? Of course, I'm the kind of guy that when I go into stuff, I go into a deep dive mode, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, for example, like I just loved and adore stuff like MC5, the Stooges, actually. Then I found out about New York Dolls. And then I found out about Dead Boys too.
So you went
And
back and started going forward.
listen, with everything I do, I try to be a student of the game, actually, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
half my favorite artists, actually, right? They're either retired or dead by the
Hmm.
time I came like 14, 15 or 16.
Hmm.
I noticed my taste in music, right? So I was a student of the game, thing, right? So
Hmm.
then I remember watching this thing with 25 years, VH1 25 years of punk rock and everything. So, of course, they mentioned the Bad Brains. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I've heard these guys. You guys are fucking incredible.
Hmm.
And of course, even going back to that, telling me the first punk band actually I heard was actually Fishbone, in the Back
Oh,
to the
okay,
Beach
yeah.
movie. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I remember seeing Angelo Moore with the Mohawk doing a Jamaican ska, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
guy's
yeah,
pretty fucking cool right there. I'm
yeah,
like
yeah,
6 years
yeah.
old. I'm like, who is this
Hmm.
guy? I want to be him.
Hmm.
So like, so
Angelo
like,
has definitely influenced a lot of people. throughout these
Absolutely.
days. Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a weird parallel. You
Hmm.
know, in a weird way, I always kind of saw him as like a. It's kind of like a descendant of Screaming Jay Hawkins
Mm.
in a weird way.
Interesting.
You know,
Okay.
somewhere like I saw one of my buds actually talking with him at a show in Baltimore, and he had a Screaming
Yeah.
Jay Hawkins shirt, right? And Angela Moore I just lit up and just
Mm.
start talking about that. You know,
Mm.
so it is probably an
Was
influence
that
on.
the recent? Was that the recent show?
Yeah, the one in Baltimore Soundstage.
Yeah. How was that? How was
That
it?
was fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
um, one thing I learned is this though: if you have an opportunity to basically pay low for the VIP so you can sit down, do that.
Oh, okay.
Because it ain't no part like a fishbone party, actually, right? And it's like
Yeah.
I forgot how long their sets were. Like, oh,
Yeah. How long did they play? Hour and a half or hour? Or was it
two,
2 hours?
two,
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
hours. You know, the
They
sound
don't
was
play, man.
no, they don't fuck around. So
Mm-mm.
then they don't mess around at all. It's like their stamina and endurance,
Yeah.
and like
Hmm.
it's incredible. You know,
Yeah. It's not a lot of folks out there, especially been at that long that do it as well as them,
no,
you know. And it's interesting to me because like I had Walt on here on Walt on Melinated Music a
yeah,
month and some change ago, and he was just telling me some stories about that. And it's amazing to me how after all that stuff they went through, you know what I'm saying? They still just like, yo, man, we got to give it to the people, man. That is so admirable, man. I love all them cats for that, man. And I noticed in seeing the crowd and some of the live things I seen how it seemed like people appreciate them more because they're still doing it. You know what I mean? It's like God, like I want to see some Fishbones here. We could get to see some real live music. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'll never
yeah.
forget the first time I saw them live. It was
Hmm.
11.
Hmm.
I was there. I was checking them out with a friend from the Afropunk board, and the missus there too. And I remember checking them out and everything, and they were just they put a hell of a show on because I was there to go check out because they were screening Everyday Sunshine,
Mm.
the Fishbone movie, right? And I gotta tell you, all right, here's the deal. One of my okay, there's two bands I'm close with on a personal level. One being Drew Hill, and I know a lot of guys on Fishbone, right? And the
Mm.
story of Drew Hill and Fishbone is very similar. I'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
Mm.
I'll put it that way. It's like I'll explain the parallels later on, probably afterwards. But like
Mm.
but yeah, I remember seeing that, and they did a live set, and my mind was blown. Even
Mm.
HR came out, right? And like
Yeah.
and there's footage of it around here on. They showed the best parts of it though, on YouTube, and I'm glad they I wish they had the whole show on there because that was an amazing show over at Lincoln
Mm.
Theater. And after that, I was like, I got to start this band I want to do. They
Yeah.
lit a fire under my ass.
Yeah.
wrote, I even wrote, I wrote Dirty Water thank you letter.
Mm.
'Cause I'm not the fan letter guy. This is probably five fan letters I've actually written this whole time. One to Eric Gales, one to the Bell Rays, one to Fishbone, and probably two others that I can't remember
Mm.
right now.
Mm.
But they were
I
worth
used
it.
to write them too. I used to write them. I ain't go front. I used to write them.
Food
I didn't
that.
write them a lot, but I did. I used to write them, and I was always happy to get a response because that's how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
You'd actually, I think I wrote, actually, I wrote face to face when I
Really?
first, yeah, um, that first album came out, and I loved the album. Saw them live, and I wrote back to them. I wrote them a letter to them, and they wrote back to me in something like it wasn't a postcard. It was like a flyer, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, thanks so
Wow.
much. You know what I'm saying? But you know, but
Yeah.
I was a writer too. Fan writer. Not often, but yes, I did it.
That's the cool thing about nowadays on social media, where it's a lot more accessible
Yeah,
than it used to be. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
next Facebook, it's like you can hit up like your favorite artist and everything, just ask questions. Like
Exactly.
nowadays, I can just literally just ask up like okay, this is one song my band does called Ears Ring. It's a cover of this Ringing Maria song, right?
Hmm.
And I literally couldn't find any tabs for this song. I couldn't figure what the hell they were doing, so I had to find the guitar player, right?
Hmm.
And I just hit up Facebook and I'm like, tappity, tappity, tappity.
Hmm.
Okay, scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, oh, okay, I got it now.
Hmm.
Okay, well, cool. So hey, how do you play the guitar part in Ears Ring? I just sent a message and they accepted my friend's request and like around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, I think. And they broke down how they did it, and it was like, okay, so for the harmonics, use a fuzz pedal. Oh, okay, cool.
Mm.
One of the greatest moments was when we just, because my band and I would nail that song, right? So we sent it to them, and the guitar player fucking loved it. And
It
so
had to
what
be a good
happened?
feeling.
Oh, totally. The best part was when Danielle, the missus, and Danielle's sister and I went to go check out Maria Maria, right? And the last
Mhm.
song was Ears Ring, and they said this one's for Danielle and John. And okay, apparently when I screamed I sound like Marlon Wayans. I didn't know this about myself until that day.
So
You know?
they say. So
Yeah.
they say.
Hey. So it was funny, so it's like but they really it's a mutual love between both bands and everything, right? One thing
You
is
is
this.
your phone up yet?
Hold on, let me double check right now. Yeah, it's like a live TV, live streaming, folks. Actually, you never know what's going to happen. Same that with Jenny Hates Techno show. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all. Just so we're talking about Fishbone, they just put out an EP, and I love it. I would, it's really sky, sky, sky heavy. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool with me. But it's just I always thought that the horns were always very unique in their arrangements. You know what I mean? Just especially with the ska songs, because they're like almost like comical in a funny way. I don't know, I don't know how to explain that, but they have personality. They have personality to them. That's what I'm trying to say. If that makes any sense. But oh, looks like he's about to bear with us.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, like we're gonna do live, be a little chaotic once in a while, actually, right? I mean, think about it. It's two talking heads actually having a really good conversation, right? But you gotta do some weird shit to entertain the people.
Why not?
Exactly, right?
All right. Are you good on the
Um,
phone?
chaotic good actually,
Okay.
according to most
I'm gonna
RPGs.
I'm gonna send you the I'm gonna send you that link
Put the link
again.
back.
Yeah. Let me
So
see.
yeah,
So we can get you back on here.
let's be back here. See right
All
here.
right. Yes, you should see it now.
All right. Just curious, what are the most interview wise? Is like, what are the ones that like? There we are. Hey, see you there, buddy. Yep, see you right here, pal.
Oh yeah. Don't forget to turn your phone down. I think I'll have to do it
Right,
again
right
too.
here too. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, yeah, I hear you. I think you actually jumped out of the Streamyard link. Just click the Streamyard link again. You're really feeling this chaos thing, ain't you? Yeah, just click on the Streamyard link and get back in.
Back in. There we are. That's weird.
Turn down your phone, you'll get this crazy echo, and we are back at it.
There we are.
Yep.
See, like, how am I looking right here right now? Just curious.
You're
That looks
upside
good.
down. You're
Oh,
upside
okay.
down. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
I was
you
gonna
know.
just gonna okay, try this right here though. How about this? Sideways?
Mm. I mean, it's cool sideways. You know, if it works, you know what I'm saying. You're not gonna make me dizzy, so you're good. So
Then I need to work harder. Then
Yeah, yeah, especially the dizzy part. I tell you.
exactly.
Um, but
I
yeah,
try this
man.
right here.
Okay, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. So, all right. So, okay, talk about Fishbone. But from what you talked about, I think you were talking about how you saw you saw like Fishbone and Hank Williams the third in the same week and how that affected you. What talk? Could you talk about that, please? That's very
Oh, easy.
interesting
I
sounding.
saw I saw Hank 3 because at the time I can get press passes for a lot of events because I was covering for my blog Ghettopunkrocker.com, which I'm rebooting under my podcast Sketchy Conversations and whatnot, right? So after that, I went to the missus and I went to go check out Hank 3, and the show was amazing. Like seriously, this guy literally crammed like three genres into like 4 hours. Like for
Mm,
one's a more traditional country set and everything, and in
mm,
which they're like heavy metal hellbilly set, and also later is a straight up industrial grindcore shit.
mm.
And at first, it was like 400 people. Only 17 people left. I was one of them. And like it was just one of those kind of deals where like you know, the funniest part was it showed how fucking tight the band was. There was this one dude that got a little too rowdy in the mosh pit. Yes, folks, you can get too rowdy in a mosh pit. This guy was trying to hurt people, right? So
Mhm.
Hank 3 just stops everything. He goes like, "Wrong night, asshole." Whole, I mean, it's like security. I see two guys getting this belligerent, pissed off. Goes, "Let me go, motherfucker! Let me fucking go!" And listen, if you watch enough ECW, actually, you know what to do. We see a flying chair, duck. So what happens
Mhm.
is basically go to the side and everything, and we just see these guys like, and it was just funny. We just started counting people just getting kicked out of the show because either they were too drunk to stand or
Oh
too
wow.
belligerent, and
That
or
sounds about right.
exactly, or the music was too intense. Because
Yeah.
he would do this style called cattlecore, right? And it was literally auctioneer calling over grindcore, and like it was ahead of his time, actually, right? Actually, if you think about it,
Wow.
it almost sounded like imagine doing something to chopper flow over grindcore. That's what it sounded like, you know. Like imagine like Yellow Wolf working with I'm not gonna say the name of that band actually because I might get kicked off, but it starts with AC. You figure that out. That's what it
Mhm.
sounded like. So after that, 3 was like best my best Hank 3 impression. All right, everybody staying afterwards. I'm gonna shake her hand, get a picture because y'all stay something like that. Anyway, so for the record, 3 is way taller than I imagine. It looks just like it looks like his grandfather. It scared the shit out of me. Like,
Mm.
remember the MC Hammer video where like he was there at the haunted club?
Mhm.
That's what it looked like. That's what reminded me of a little bit. It
Mm.
was just, cool dude actually, I talked to his son a little bit. He's also the
Mhm.
fourth of his family too, so we kind of bonded over that.
Mm.
But
Okay.
after that, we just kind of like realized this guy just you can do anything you want to do musically, seriously,
Mhm.
just do it. If it feels right, if it's right, do
Mhm.
it, you know?
Mhm.
So that's how I always kind of felt. It's like, like even Jenny Hates Techno, we're just multi-genre. Like, sometimes we go from song to song, it depends on varies, but it's still like a theme through it though. Like it's fucking rock music, but one may be a little funkier than usual, one may be a little jazzier than usual. Some might be more blistering hardcore, some might be a little it depends and varies on it though. So there you go.
You were just talking about ECW, because I know you're a wrestling fan now. How did you get into wrestling so much? And I know you like,
Once
you.
again,
Mhm.
my mom and dad go to house shows actually. In fact,
Mhm.
I never forget actually, my mom seen Iron Sheik, may rest in peace.
Mhm.
Um,
Rest in peace,
basically,
Jabroni.
yep. What hey, he's the one that he created the term,
He's the original
he's
Jabroni
the
talker. People
OG.
don't realize that.
No, it came
Mhm.
from him. I was like, it was Sheiky the whole time? No way. But then you look into it, you find out who got stuff from what actually, right?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
Like I got into wrestling because I was like, I was literally basically like once again, some my mom and dad would watch actually.
Mm.
Like so seeing Hulk Hogan, oh, we only knew. We understand why Iron Sheik didn't like him now.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
understand now. But like seeing that actually, right? It was like a little Hulkamaniac. Hey, I didn't know any better. I was 3. Cut me a break. I remember like I'm technically a few months older in WrestleMania.
Mhm.
Literally. Like so it's always been a love of mine actually, It's like
Mhm.
hell, like I get to know some of the guys because a lot of those wrestlers are old punks and metalheads actually.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
Shoot. My aunt actually went to college with Virgil.
Really?
Yeah. Um,
How many matches do you? How many matches has Virgil actually won? You know what I'm saying?
listen,
Because
Virgil
oh,
knew his spot. He knew his place because you know
you
what? He knew what he's supposed to do. You know, be the bodyguard,
and
get
that's it.
paid, and look for
Well, I mean, he
groupies in
had.
the
I
front.
saw some matches. I saw some matches. I actually seen some matches,
Yeah.
and he fought. He won, but it was like 9 times out of 10, he just got brutalized and pinned,
Hey,
and with them striped shorts he had, the striped pants he had on.
you know the funniest part about the whole Virgil gimmick was
Uh,
Virgil was a rib on was a rib or a reference to Dusty Rhodes.
who?
Dusty Rhodes. Virgil was actually a rib on Dusty Rhodes. That was the whole point. Because don't forget, Dusty Rhodes' real name was Virgil Runnels, right?
Mm,
And he tried to basically be and as damn the wrestler he patted himself afterwards, actually, right? But like I can't remember who it was. I know the name. I can see the face, but I'm blanking out right now. So more prepared. I should have taken notes and I say, isn't that everything? And he patted himself after that, right?
mm,
And like so the nod was so as a little prank or rib, so to speak. Those two wrestlers actually based on Dusty Rhodes. It was actually Virgil and Hakeem the African Dream. Because remember, Dusty was the American Dream, so they found like a
yeah.
white guy trying to be black. It was actually just taking the piss out of Dusty
Well,
Rhodes.
I'm gonna say this:
But
if you watch old Dusty Rhodes, and I showed this to some people recently. He got some of his promo talk from Aunt Esther from
oh, you
Fred
know
Sanford.
it. Oh, you know it. You know it. You know
I
it's
saw
like
Aunt Esther all through Dusty Rhodes, and
yeah,
like what I'm saying, and I didn't realize it. See, the thing is, you don't realize it till you get older how these people pull their influences up once you see it.
all the time.
This one, I remember this one episode. He was talking to it was what was that lady's name that used to be the blonde lady that all used to be hanging around the Four Horsemen,
Baby doll.
Baby Doll, yeah. So Baby Doll said something to him like when a lady has a hat, when you see a lady supposed to take her hat off, he was just like, when I see a lady, I'll do that. I'd rather take my hat off to a Jezebel in the street. You know what I'm saying? He was always,
You just get raw with it.
you know what I'm saying? Oh man, I mean, I used to love Dusty, man. I used to love. He was like Dusty. Well, Booker T was saying that Dusty Rose back in the day was the only person that black folks, because we weren't represented that much back then,
Yeah,
we all look at Dusty because he was, he had that swag, so he was
close
like he was
enough.
like Elvis, it's like rooting for Elvis to,
See, that's the
well,
difference between appropriation and appreciation, right? Dusty
yeah,
basically that was just him being him, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He made it abundantly clear. And like I'll never forget there was this one time, believe it or not, he made it abundantly clear which side he was on because I think it was Dick Murdoch. It was one wrestler, right? It was him. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna take you to this party, right?" It's like, I'm like, okay, let's go check it out, baby. My best worst Dusty Rose impression right now. And
Mm.
what happened was there's this party and everything, right? And there were a bunch of guys wearing hats. Trouble is, it covered their face too. Dusty was like, hold on a second. I want no part of this over here. I don't want no part of this. So he goes dark to
Mm.
the car. He's like, it was a really awkward car ride back to
I
the
can imagine
hotel.
that.
But Dusty made abundantly clear what side he was on. Same thing with Sputnik Monroe. You know,
Yeah.
those guys basically, it's like, hey, I'm with the bros over here, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, just because I look back now, man. Oof, Ron Simmons, all them cats back in the day, man. They were catching hell, man, because like there
Oh,
was
yeah, totally.
no there was no love for them back then, and then it got so bad that like they were like I remember back in the WCW, they had to pretty much make Booker T the champion because
They
there
had
was so
to.
much backlash because of the racism there.
Yeah,
They're like, oh well, you can't say nothing to us. We got a black champion. You know what I'm saying? So
had to.
man,
Yeah,
but it's everything's all shifted now. You know what I'm saying? You got
absolutely.
you got the Rock. You got his whole crew. Them whole Simone thing doing their thing. You got the
Yeah,
it's all. But that's
vastly different, you know? And
yeah,
it was funny to complain. It's like, what about Black Champion? What about The Rock? No,
yeah.
they kept on raising the bar and everything, you know? So they gave him two. They gave him Bobby Lashley and Big E, you know? And I was like, and also don't forget Kofi too, you know?
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
got the belt and everything, which was well deserved
Mm-hmm.
actually, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in this point in place and space right now, yeah, they definitely deserve the belt. They definitely deserve to have representation. They deserve to
Hmm.
carry the company, you know,
It's just so different now, man. Like I
vastly.
was just just life in general because I feel as though you know, like I was just saying this recently, like that I just watched that movie recently with um Jonathan Majors movie, the Ant Man thing with the
Yeah.
yeah, I watched that, and I'm a Back to the Future head. I'm a head when it comes to time travel science and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And it's like for me right now, and I'm just being really honest, it feels like it's like a different timeline going on, especially for all the stuff I experienced in the past. You know, it's a very strange and crazy timeline. You know what I mean? Very weird and kind of dark in its own way and kind of strange. But this timeline now, it's not like linked to me growing up, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like it's changed so much. You know what I mean? It's odd. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of like a
It's
butterfly
very
effect.
yeah. And not and this is kind of interesting. I was talking about this recently as well, like just talking about how when I looked at movies and all that TV shows, you just look at that as entertainment, and you look at these people that are, doing all that stuff, and you don't realize the backstory, you know what I'm saying, behind um a lot of this stuff. When I say backstories, I mean like, how Hollywood really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like it's all being put to the forefront. You're like, damn, all this stuff is going on. And I had no clue. I just wanted to watch my Superman movie, or but that's not the
exactly.
case, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's been exposed now.
Oh yeah. The thing about it is, like, here's the kicker: with every piece of media, there's always going to be a piece of themselves inside of it. It's always be like a little in joke or whoever and everything, right?
Hmm.
Like, okay, I'll never forget everybody's talking about like Vincent Mann, the sex scandal and everything, right? He was talking about
Hmm.
the NDAs. He kind of hinted at around 2006.
Yeah.
They were talking about the documents in this vault and
Hmm.
everything, right?
Hmm.
Listen,
Hmm.
everybody tells you who they are in their
Yeah.
art.
It's so true,
Everybody
man. I
does.
agree. I agree.
It's a it's like, and sometimes it's exaggerated, sometimes it's a hint there. They always do something, right? And sometimes like one of the shows, I always put it this way, like Family Guy, they'll kind of hint around the stuff, like
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
jokes in there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
They do.
like the little gags in there, jokes in there too. Like even on The Simpsons, like, this is a little more tame and everything, but I'll never forget, like or just like little in jokes amongst the writers and stuff like that. Like I'll never forget The Simpsons where they try to make a dig at Ren and Stimpy, right, by John Kay and everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
the joke was like a film not available yet because they're always late production wise, stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
So they always do stuff like that, always like little
Yeah.
digs and every little digs like that, actually, right? So it's not a surprise, so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
those kind of basically see who gets the joke and everything, it's like a little wink
Hmm.
wink nod.
Yeah. 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 They put it out there. What top 10 wrestlers? Who you got all time?
Depends and varies on the era and also the discipline too. Like, for example, I love Mankind, but also, when it comes to like luchador stuff, you had to go for Rey Mysterio Jr.
Hmm.
But also when it goes to pro wrestling stuff, I have a soft spot for Shinsuke Nakamura, but also let's Antonio Inoki, actually. Let's face it, Antonio Inoki and Muhammad Ali basically paved the way for mixed martial arts in the United
Hmm.
States. Seriously. So it depends and varies on the era. Like charismatic,
We're
I would
gonna
say
we're
The
gonna we're
Rock.
gonna no we're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna just go with
It's
we can't. I know you can't. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna ask you not to go too far down the rabbit hole at this
too late.
time.
Talking to me is you a
I know,
rabbit
I know.
hole.
All right. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna take. Okay, I'll work. I'll compromise. I'll work with you here.
All right.
I'll say. I'll say late '80s, and I'm gonna stick with WCW and WWF specifically.
All right.
Late '80s up until the day the Undertaker retired, whatever the exact date that was.
All right. Way to go for Cactus Jack for definitely Cactus Jack and everything, right?
Hmm.
Steve Austin there too, actually.
Hmm.
And funny thing about it is you saw the potential in Undertaker, actually, even with me, Mark Callis, actually, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
funniest
yeah,
part about it was how Eric Bischoff literally fired basically like three of the guys that basically changed the game in
yeah,
WWF.
yeah.
Who else? I was going to say the guy looks like an overgrown hot dog actually, so I'll just say Randy Savage instead.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
Jake
yeah,
St.
yeah.
Roberts basically changed how basically what was fantastic in the promos and everything, right? Because think about it,
Yeah.
he was the exact opposite. He wasn't the over up steroid coked out kind of
Yeah.
promo. He was very quiet and made sure
Hmm.
abundantly clear you listen to exactly everything he was saying.
It was very art. It was very cinematic. He was, he was very
Absolutely.
artistic. He was very, he wasn't all screaming and hollering.
No, no, no.
He made you actually kind of think. Because do you remember that one episode when he got the Ultimate Warrior to go into the snake pen,
Yeah,
and and the snake bit him, and then at the end it was the Undertaker. That was like cinema. That was like,
exactly.
that was like,
It
but that's
really
how the promos
was.
that's how the promos used to be back then, you know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely. So
yeah, those were dope. But go ahead.
yeah, when they were doing the whole cinematic match, I'm like, they've been doing that for years, like
Hmm.
seriously. So who else? Definitely so who else will be on that list actually, right? On the WCW actually, right? Also the tossing some tag team stables, tossing the four horsemen as well, actually, right? Tossing there too, Like
Hmm.
when I here's the funny thing about it, kind of wrestling and how they kind of parallel with bands and everything, right?
Hmm.
Jenny Hates Techno was kind of like the Bullet Club before the Bullet Club existed. Meaning
Hmm.
basically it was basically people basically in a homogenized space that basically made an impact, whatever we played. So Bullet Club, 4 or 5 white guys and Samoan guys in Japan, actually, right?
Hmm.
Just on that alone, you're in a homogenized space, a bunch of Japanese people there, right? So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, so who are these guys? Something about these guys look really cool and kind of swagged out, actually. Also the merch was just fucking like, you see Bullet Club shirts at WWE events and everything, right? And
Hmm.
advertisers were like, who's Bullet Club? I was like, they had to start switching them out and everything. Like, say, hey, fold that shirt out and everything, right? Because it was that impactful.
Hmm.
So
Wow, I didn't know that.
it's kind of like Bullet Club was almost like kind of like the NWO for the mid 2010s. I'll put it that way.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
best way to describe it. So like
So yeah, you got Austin.
yeah.
You got okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so definitely Stone Cold Steve Austin, actually, right? I gotta tell
Hmm.
you right now, after the neck injury, he changed his style up.
Hmm.
Randy
I
Savage
think
is
he
on there
had
too.
to.
Well,
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. He had to kind of change it up after the,
Hmm.
you know. Technical stuff. I'll go for Bret Hart.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. Many characters right there too, and also The Rock as well. Actually, right,
Hmm.
amazing on the mic. Also, he was in WCW for a second as well. Well, not a second. He was in WCW long enough. Dusty Rhodes as well. So who else
You putting
too?
Dusty on it? You put Dusty up there?
Yeah, he's in WCW, so he fits.
Okay.
Also in WWE actually, right? Or
Uh-huh.
WWF then. Shoot, who else?
What about the Undertaker? Not as
You
Mark
know,
Calloway.
technically I did mention earlier. Basically, he showed a lot of promise too, even whether he was one of the skyscrapers actually, right? So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
definitely
remember this.
Taker as well,
I,
actually, right?
I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna say this.
Hmm?
When the Undertaker debuted, I still remember that when he debuted in that Survivor Series, right? And he went in there, and Tombstone, Coco Beware, and that, and just how he came out before the music and everything. You know what I'm saying? That debut, you know what I'm saying, was that was one of the most memorable debuts I've ever seen
Oh yeah,
ever in wrestling.
she got the shit out of people too.
Yep, when he came there with who's that? Brother Love, right? Yep, Brother Love.
He also Ted DiBiase managed him for a second too, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
know
he brought
Doomsday.
he debuted him in the Royal Rumble.
I know Doomsday DC right now. It's like, you better get this shit right. She's a humongous Undertaker fan as well.
Hmm.
So I'll make sure I
Oh,
get that
that's.
right.
Hmm.
So like but yeah, so like definitely that. So very impactful. It's like I'll never forget. Here's a great example of like how you change kayfabe up from anything, right? See, it's not about making people believe it's real or fake. It's making people basically along the ride and everything, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
last few matches basically before WrestleMania 30, it's almost like, yo, it's getting closer. Will this be the day? Will this be the event actually, right? And it
Hmm.
was an eventual. So like it was kind of funny where there's this argument online saying like, did the streak being broken count because he never did sign the contract.
Hmm.
So that's a weird
Oh,
loophole.
wow. Oh, wow. That's
That's a
going pretty,
weird.
pretty, pretty, pretty heavy down the rabbit hole right there, sir.
dealing with me, there's a lot of fucking rabbit holes actually, right? So I have to do a lot of
Wait,
gardening in the
wait,
back.
he didn't sign the
You
contract.
never signed a contract, so it's a counter not. So that's a so like
Hmm.
there you go. But either way.
Okay. Yeah,
So it's like but yeah,
that's going
so
down history as a loss.
exactly.
The
Unfortunately
streak
it
is
does.
over. Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah. But like but like but
What
yeah,
about Hogan? What about Hogan?
yeah, and I used to until that friggin' tape came out.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
I
hey,
got
but you still have to separate it. You mean you
uh,
know,
you
I
know what?
mean,
I'll put it this way. Here's the kicker about it. I can't take away the fact how he basically helped bring wrestling to the
yeah,
mainstream again.
definitely.
Well, wrestling to the mainstream. I cannot take that away from whatsoever,
Yeah,
actually, right?
exactly.
But then you start hearing more jacked up stories about him, actually,
I
right? Then
know.
it's like it
Man,
kind
I
of,
heard it. Yo, man,
it's like
and it's not even all just about being racist, just being a freaking asshole. You
that
know what I'm
too,
saying?
especially
You know
that,
what I'm saying? Yeah. Yo, I heard. Did you ever hear that one time when he tried to give the Undertaker a hard time that time he lost about the Survivor Series about Tombstone him? Like he
Yeah,
said he really hurt his neck. I
yeah,
watched that thing. That thing. I think the Undertaker hurt his knee hitting that chair
he did. Taker later
than
on was like, he saw the thing. It was like, wait a minute, I didn't even
yeah.
touch it,
Wait a
man.
minute.
Exactly. So, that was just jacked up on his part, And let's be real about it. There was this segment on Jim Cornette's podcast. They were talking about how many lies has Hulk Hogan told. And it was like
Yeah.
it was one of the funniest ones. It was like, first of all, true, he does play bass. False, he didn't audition for Metallica. Oh, that would be kind of curious, actually, right? There's three bass players that get kind of curious. Wonder if they actually joined Metallica instead of Jason Newsted. What would it
Mhm.
sound like if Les Claypool actually did stick with Metallica? What would happen actually, right? Second thing is this too. What would happen if Hogan actually did audition and succeed?
Yeah.
So I do get kind of curious actually, right?
Probably a different sound, I would say,
Yeah, it
between
probably would sound like
let's
dad rock by that point. And if they had Les Claypool in the band, even James Hetfield said he was too good. Because you ever see a
yeah.
clip of Les Claypool playing Master of Puppets on bass?
Yeah, I can
This was fucking amazing. Seriously,
yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
I can see that.
But yeah, so it's like that was the fascinating part, seeing like how full of shit he really is.
What
Hogan
about
really
Ric
was.
Flair? Ric Flair.
Oh, that's a given, actually, right?
Yeah, okay, all right.
Three guys basically changed the culture. It's like like Ric Flair's still going on. Like he's like the drunk white uncle of Southern hip hop.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
but then
yeah. I
it makes sense because like all those kids that watch NWA growing up and WCW growing up, they grew into older rappers. So of
yeah,
course,
yeah, 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 yeah.
you know.
Man, them WCW, man. Well, not even that. NWA. Those days, boy.
Oh yeah,
Man, them days, man. That little nasty studio they had, and when they were always getting jumped, and and
yeah,
just that stuff, man. That stuff was that's what it was all about, boy. Every
it
week,
was.
you know what I'm saying? That stuff was just that's like part of my childhood. Beautiful thing. Part of my childhood, is that wrestling.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like
You know
looking
what I'm
back at it.
saying? I'm
And
starting
it's
to get back. I ain't gonna front. I fell off for a while. I'm starting to get it back in a little bit more. I think I like some of these new cats out here. I like the fact that Cody Rhodes, is coming back and he's doing his things. I think he's I think they're talking about a year from now he's going he's gonna be the man. That's what
I
they're
can see
saying.
that.
Yeah,
I remember when Cody Rose was Stardust. Actually, I'll
yeah,
never forget that, and I'll never forget when he either got fired, or left WWE and everything, and he was doing an indie match, and so he said Stardust, so he did the cartwheel, and at the end of it, he flipped him off. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. But
yeah,
like, you know what? He rebuilt his name though, and I always
yeah. He
admired
did,
that.
and yeah, it's a whole different. You can't even look at that and compare to now, man. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I mean it's
It's
like
like,
he ain't Dash anymore. He's the American Nightmare.
yeah, exactly. What I'm flip flopping here. Let
Of
me
course.
since you're playing live music, what's the difference between like the DC's rock scene and the Baltimore's rock scene?
Um, I'll put it this way: there's a reason why the Bad Brains left for New York. There's a reason why. Baltimore, it's kind of funny. DC has a punk sound, but Baltimore basically what is like it's more of a metal town. I noticed though, actually, with all the
Mm,
shows that
I
play
didn't know
there.
that.
It's more of a metal town. A lot of punk bands there too. Hell, Sidebar Tavern, they're rebuilding it up and everything.
Mm,
Somebody I forgot what her name is, but she bought it though. And she's building it up right now, and that's a project in itself, actually, right? Also,
mm,
shout out to Autobar too. And like but yeah, it's like DC is a DJ town, kind of
mm.
a go-go town too, actually, right? But
Yeah.
it's
Oh
like
yeah.
but it's like but the funny thing about it is like it's like that is our music and everything, but is it appreciated? Sometimes it's not. But also, I'm glad Mochella exists. I'm glad.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I lived in Atlanta for 20 some years. I heard I heard I was at one somewhere. I can't remember where I was. I think I was in Decatur somewhere, and somebody was playing some go-go, right? You know what I'm saying? Granted, since I lived in Virginia, we used to go see the Northeast Groovers. We used to see these cats down in Petersburg. You know what I'm saying? When I was, right out of, we
Oh
see
yeah,
them all the time. That was the part of their, the little Chitlin circuit, the DMV circuit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Going up there, down to Petersburg, probably, down North Carolina, whatever they're going. But it nobody knows. I mean, I shouldn't say that. You know, Nobody could appreciate go-go unless they are a part of it. I guess that's the easy way to put it.
The
You know?
common thread between metal, punk, house, and go-go is a experience you have to live.
Yes,
Listening to it, it's cool,
it
but
changes it. Yeah,
it's a
man.
different kind of dynamic. You can feel the energy come off the music, actually,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. I
know,
agree.
there's a difference between like listening to GBH, at home, actually thrash around your room, and actually being based in the pit there.
And if it, yeah,
There's a difference between going to a go
speculative as opposed to operative, right?
pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's like so those are two different things. It's like, but when you experience it's one of those things you experience.
Hmm.
Of course, you gotta protect yourself, but it's like but I noticed even go-go is starting to evolve sound wise too. Like
Hmm.
I call this stuff post go-go or pogo, actually, right? Bands like Black Alley, even earlier bands like Mambo Sauce, right? They were
Hmm.
doing like a rock and go-go thing.
Hmm.
Black Alley, they're calling themselves like I remember when they started in 2010, and you know what? They put the work in, and go-go's rooting their sound, but they've evolved so much to a lot of other things
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Just like anything else, it's all gonna,
Yeah.
evolve. As long as them congos hitting in that drum, that snare and that kick drum is hitting. Them keys, and the chants. I'm cool.
It's
You know what
more
I'm
of a
saying?
it's because it's become more they've been using the shit of the timbales, especially for like the bounce beat stuff. They've been
Hmm.
playing the shit out of them fucking timbales though. I noticed
Yeah,
lately.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So like
I mean, that's like it's interesting because any go-go's like the most, what's the word, like ethnic music. I know hip hop
oh
is,
yeah,
but hip hop is, unless they're playing it live like the Roots. It's all mainly samples. But go-go is like, if there's any type of ethnic type of straight up black ethnic type music,
yeah,
live music, and besides gospel stuff like that, go-go is like, because you like Latinos, they have the salsa and the merengue, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And but like go-go is like, if you want to say, you want to hear what it's like, listen to this, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But that's interesting, man. So go ahead,
The funny thing about it is like there are a
mm,
lot of people from the DC area, DMV transplants, that head down to Atlanta. So you know what? Whatever you do, you bring your culture with you. Like for
yeah,
example, take it
that's
to
true.
hip hop. Okay, you had like okay, DJ Coherc, whole ass Jamaican, right? So well, you basically bring the sound system part of Jamaican culture, right? So you have stuff like that. So you basically have people bring stuff to different areas, or they move to different areas or anything, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I'm kind of surprised there was some go-go bands that tried to bring up shop in down in Atlanta. I noticed there. Um I kind of observed too. I'm not really sure how well they picked up though. I'm not really sure, but
Just like you said, it's a it's like it's a culture thing. You know what I mean? And
oh yeah,
yeah, go on, man. You know, with that southern culture, man. It's that southern hip hop, man. That's their thing. You know what I'm saying? And nothing's going to really take over. You can try to get in where you fit in, but as far as anything really making a big impact, nah, man.
it's
That's
kind of
so that
funny. You know
that
what song want to kind of see redone as a country song. Mind playing tricks on me. That could be easy been a Johnny Cash song.
Oh yeah, yeah. Johnny Cash. That was another cat. It's like who we talking about? Dusty Road. Dusty Rhodes. I could see just Dusty Rhodes, Johnny Cash, um, Elvis, all at the Blue Flame down in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, easy,
I think
easy.
that would be their first. I think that'd probably be their first for their first step, the first thing. First they'd probably go to Gladys Knight chicken and
Easy.
waffles.
Yeah, easy.
And then the next step they would go to Dugan's. It's for my Atlanta people. They
Mhm.
go to Dugan's, get a drink or whatever, and then they go to Strokers. You know what I'm saying? Or Blue Flame. That's what Johnny Cash. That'd probably be the first choice for Johnny Cash, Elvis, and Dusty Rhodes because, like you said earlier, they all grew up around us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So,
You ever see the episode of Finding Your Roots with
mm-mm,
Roseanne Cash?
mm-mm.
Very interesting DNA results. I'll put it that way.
Oh, I can imagine that. I can
Just put it that
imagine
way. Very interesting DNA results, actually. It's like it's like let's say I'll put it that way. I ain't gonna spoil anything.
that.
You know,
Well, tell the people, man. Tell the people where they can contact you, what you got going on, man,
sure.
and
You can reach me over at on Twitter at SketchofMD. You can also check out Jenny Hates Techno's music on Facebook at Jenny Hates Techno. You can also find us on YouTube as well. You can also find us on Instagram Jenny Hates Techno on Instagram as well. Um, just out and about. Also have a show coming up. Also, Jenny Hates Techno's show coming up August 2nd as well at Martin King Jr. Library in Washington D.C. We're doing a rooftop show actually. Haven't really done one since 2019 actually. So a couple of new members, some old reliables. Just looking out. It's like I'm just looking forward to playing again. You know.
I'm happy. Just like Jared was talking. Like, I'm just happy to see y'all. Well, us, because I'm starting back in the music as well. But just happy to see the ones that I know that are true and real about it still doing it, man. So I applaud you
Thank
for
you.
everything you do. Everything you got going on right now and in the future.
All right.
And even you shoot even a music tip, man. Let's link up. Let's do something, man.
I'm
Let's
down.
let's put a, let's yeah, let's put some music out there. I know you got some riffs that I can definitely talk some
Oh,
stuff over.
tons of stuff
And
around here.
yeah,
Interesting.
man, and I want you to definitely come back, man. Let's talk
Yeah.
some
Well.
more going in
well,
deep to maybe about some more wrestling or let's get come. You're always welcome back, man. So just
Sure.
let's make
Next
it
time
a
around.
more often thing.
Next time, with less technical fuck ups, less but I'll
Yeah,
definitely.
it's all
I'll
good.
be
Yeah,
on my
hey
p's and
man,
q's.
at this point, man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I've seen the craziest things. That's on a scale of 1 to 10. That was about a 4. So you're good, believe me. But
Oh, it's the limit now, so I'm going to try a little harder next time around.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's it. Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. We here with John Ellis. We out of here, and like I said already, if you haven't, please pick up my book, Polka Dot Rabbit at Polka Dot Rabbit Podcast.com. Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. Interesting read. I'm very excited to start releasing some other reading in the near future. But besides that, we're out. We're out of here, and
All right.
peace and love, everybody.
Peace. Bye.
Come here. What are you listening?